Hello and welcome everybody to today's webinar. My name is Anna. I will be your Drone Nerds host for this evening. Today we are joined by FlytBase, Ready Monitor, and Aerial Fences as we dive into how the DJI Dock can be automated and scaled with the Dock 3 using FlytBase's solutions. Before we get started, we're going to go ahead and kick off with a few friendly reminders. Questions will be entertained at the end of the presentation. Please use the Q&A menu option at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions. The webinar will be recorded and available online after the webinar is over. And once the webinar ends, you will receive a brief survey. Please fill it out. It's how we're able to provide better content for you guys, give you great educational material, and keep you informed of the latest and greatest going on in the UAV industry. With that said, Kishal, thank you so much for joining us today from FlytBase. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Anna. pleasure joining you guys, and thank you everyone for joining in. While I share my screen, I'll maybe give a short introduction about myself. My name is Kaushal Kulkarni. I am a business development manager at FlytBase. I've been sort of a tech nerd, having worked in the technology industry, particularly in cloud computing, and then core infrastructure in my previous professional career, and then eventually I moved on to the drone industry, and particularly at FlytBase, I've been working as an evangelist for dock-based solutions, having worked with large enterprises, customers, and also channel partners from across the globe. So that's a little bit about myself. What we have today and what I'm really excited to talk about is the new dock, the DJI Dock 3, and how one can scale their operations with the help of FlytBase. So over the entire course of my presentation, I'm going to talk about what our learnings have been. Firstly, I'll introduce a little bit about FlytBase, but then I'm going to touch upon what our learnings have been working in the drone in the box industry or in the dock automation industry. And then I'm going to, talk about what are we bringing to solve those challenges, especially with the Dock 3 now in place. So with that, let me cover a few of my slides. The first slide that you see is about wave theory. Now, this is a theory that we devised in the context of drone in a box. Our primary hypothesis, and this has been proven quite a few times now, is that the way docks are adopted is in waves. So firstly, most customers, they'll talk about getting demos, they'll get a feel for how the dock operates, what remote operations look like, and then they get into a pilot phase of having one dock, and here they run pilot programs for around 1 to 6 months sort of a time period. Here that many customers are just getting their hands dirty. They're trying to play around with the different functionalities, try to understand different use cases. Once they've identified their primary use cases, secondary use cases, that's when they decide to deploy for a single site. And here is where most of the challenges come in, particularly IT compliances, because now customers are going into production. We're talking about IT compliances, BVLOS waivers, and customers also start talking about enterprise integration. So docks are fundamentally quite different from drones, where drones are standalone systems, whereas docks, they integrate into the infrastructure of the customer. So customers start talking about what systems can I integrate these docks with, and those conversations are primarily from an ROI point of view. So how do I derive the most return on investment on this initial investment that I've made? And once those boxes are checked, so primarily IT compliance, BVLOS waivers, and enterprise integrations, that's where you would call the first deployment or the first site deployment successful. And once you have all these checks in place, that's when customers start talking about multi-site deployments. Now, I mentioned at the start that this is more or less a proven sort of a hypothesis that we had. And the reason for that is because that's where I come into the introduction of FlytBase. So we are a enterprise grade drone autonomy software platform. What that means is all we do day in, day out, we're a 70, 80 people team, is we build software packages for drone automation. And because we've been super passionate about seeing the sky with a million drones, we have been putting a lot of our effort into drone in a box, because essentially the way customer scales their operations is when they automate, and the easiest way to automate with the help of drones is drone in a box. So we've been doing this for the last 10 years. We've integrated with 15 plus docking stations, and then 3 years back, or around 2.5 years back, we integrated with the DJI Dock. And since then, a lot of customers have moved from wave 0 to wave 1 to wave 2 and wave 3. And some of the primary drivers for these movements or shifts was the Dock 1 that launched in 2023, then Dock 2, which launched last year, and now Dock 3. So over the entire life cycle of these docks, we've done deployments across the globe, and from those deployments, we've identified four key challenges. And with the help of Dock 3, we are solving these challenges, not only for Dock 3, but also retrospectively for Dock 1 and Dock 2. So, what are the challenges here? And a lot of you, if you've already used Docks, or if you're planning on using Docks, these challenges, you must have already faced these challenges, or you might, want to take care of them. So, what are the challenges, right? So first is data security and IT compliance. As I mentioned, these docs, they're being integrated with the infrastructure of the customer, and primarily the IT infrastructure. Drones didn't have to particularly do that, whereas docs you are certainly integrating. And when and given that the dock needs a connection to internet, so most of the clients who are using the dock will be on the same network as the one that is integrated with the dock. That's where the IT compliance teams, the data security teams step in, and they really need assurances as to what are the communication protocols, what are the IPs that the dock is hitting. There are a bunch of questions that we'd have to answer as FlytBase and the operators and the customers to get that check in place. Because without that, it's very difficult to scale. Second is lack of enterprise integration. So the dock with the remote operations of the drone is a great tool for data collection. So upstream, you're able to collect a lot of data, but then what do you do with that particular data? Number one. Number two, because you're flying remotely, you're flying essentially blind only with visual cues beyond visual line of sight. So, how do you integrate with flight safety systems to make operations safe? With these two primary integrations, and I'll cover this in more detail in the next slides. Most customers are able to scale, but without that, the conversation shifts, and also from a return on investment point of view. Third is now a lot of customers are moving into the inspection domain. So cumbersome mission planning. Now, earlier planning missions was easier. You could just manually fly the drone, record the waypoints. You had a visual cue in reference to the drone as a pilot, and you could plan missions. So that's one of the challenges that some of our customers are facing. And the fourth is, okay, I'm collecting data. I have a real time video feed that is streaming into the platform. How do I gather intelligence from it? Do I really always need the pilot to be making decisions? That's a question that we got quite a lot with Doc 1 and Doc 2. So I'll take each challenge and I'll just break it down a little further, because it's good to understand the specifics, and then I'll talk about the tactile features that FlightBase offers as a platform that will help solve for those challenges. So first is data security and ID compliance. In that, most of the production deployments get blocked because of the data security questionnaires, the IT compliance certifications that IT teams ask for. The second is navigating those approval mechanisms, and those of you who work in large organizations, you can empathize with this problem statement. You know who the right IT guy is, but you don't speak their language. So how do you communicate that, hey, this is a great tool, right? As an operator, you know that, but how do you communicate that with, say, how do you communicate that with your IT team? And sorry about that. Yeah, how do you communicate that with your IT team? That is one challenge that a lot of our customers face. Uh, who has access to the data? Does FlightBase have access to the data? Can someone remotely access my data? How is it encrypted? How is it decrypted? These are questions that most of the IT folks are asking, and even operators, they want a peace of mind. Is my data going to China, for example? I mean, that's a question that we get quite often. And then the fourth is a result of one, two, three, where these wave one, wave two deployments are getting blocked or delayed. So delayed is the key word here because of not able to answer one, two, three. So what is the solution that we offer? So first is that we are able to integrate with the enterprise firewalls that customers already have. We can coordinate with the IT teams to do that. We also have a mechanism, or rather the question here is what if, right? So what if there was a firewall protection that would solve the problem, because you would block external comms, you knew exactly who's accessing the data, you allow a secure allow list of such specific traffic that you would receive. And if you have visualization of where the data is going, where the dock is trying to communicate, that would solve a lot of the IT team's problems. And then what if we could block comms which are not necessary? So if we're able to block all the comms, say to China or India or any other country, or anywhere internally in the US as well. So these are four solutions that we identified, and we tried it out with a lot of customers to do it manually first. And we realized that this is working. A lot of customers, especially IT security folks, were able to give that go ahead, and that's how we've been able to deploy for large enterprise customers. What we did earlier this year is we productized it as FlightBase Shield. So FlightBase Shield sandboxes your DJI Dock, blocking all comms that the dock does externally. So it's only communicating with your team. So the dock, and I'll explain it via this quick video. Once you configure FlightBase AIR, which is a hardware device that we offer, which has an external firewall, what you're able to do is you're able to visualize as an IT operator, as an operator, where all is the dock trying to communicate. So here you can see that there are a lot of endpoints. So there are almost 44,000 events that the firewall blocked. And these events are the dock, which is quite a chattery system, trying to communicate with uh, not only China, but like India, Vietnam, Japan, the US as well. So it wants to communicate to a lot of places which customers don't appreciate. Not that it's sharing sensitive data, it just loves to chatter. So it's a very chattery system. That's where we, with the help of FlightBase Shield, we enterprise sort of like a barrier, a firewall, which only allows flight-based domains to pass through. So the dock is only allowed to communicate to these 7 endpoints, which are managed by FlightBase and quite secure, and the rest of the events are blocked. The IT teams are not only able to visualize the areas or the regions where these IP events are blocked from, they're also able to they have a granular view into the exact IPs that the doc was trying to communicate, and the timestamp that the doc tried to do that, and how they were blocked. So this empowers the user with real-time information, ensuring that their dock is completely safe, it's completely secure. And that's where a lot of large customers, I can name a few, Conoco, a lot of large oil and gas companies, and we have, for example, Shell. We have a case study with them. They've been able to deploy with the help of FlightBase Shield. So they were able to solve for the first problem. Along with that, okay, now the question is, sure, FlightBase, rather, the dock only communicates with FlightBase. So is FlightBase safe? And that's how the way we answer that question is with the help of the relevant certifications and compliances. So we have ISO 27001, SOC 2 Type 2, and GDPR. These are industry standard compliance certifications that we've undergone, and we can share these with your ID teams to help them understand how what remediations we take to ensure that our systems are safe, both proactively and reactively. So with that, we solve for the first challenge. And FlightBase Shield with Dock 3 is what we are touting to be a door opener for large enterprises for Wave 1. And then for customers who already have Wave 1 deployments or Wave 2 deployments, heading on to Wave 3. What is the second challenge? The second challenge, as I mentioned previously, is integrating into systems. Now you've deployed the dock, you have a couple of docks on site, you maybe do routine patrols, you do scheduled missions, you do routine inspections, for example. But then how do I collect this data or have the data that is streaming or the video feed that's streaming into and integrate it into an external system? So how do I integrate into a video management system? How do I integrate or how do I automate the drone response by integrating with external alarms? So how do I, what if an alarm goes off on site, which is an intruder detection alarm, and the drone is able to go to the location automatically? Wouldn't that be awesome? I mean, that will help me save a lot of my time. It will help me reduce dependency on manual operations. That is something that we solve for with the help of Flinks. Flinks stands for flight based links. These are one click integrations with external systems. So, integrations with alarm systems, with video management systems like Milestone or Genetech, or integrations with mapping software. So, reality capture software such as Pix 4D, Drone Deploy, or Streos. And these are just to name a few. We have over 40 such partnerships. So I'll just talk about a few of the integrations that we've done with the Dock 1, Dock 2, and now the Dock 3. So for those of you from the security system or the security integration space, you would know of Avigilon. Avigilon is a pretty standard video surveillance system. We've done an integration with Avigilon with the help of the alarm flinks, where if Avigilon raises an alert based on the detection from a camera system, FlightBase logs the alarm, and then with the help of Flow, which is a feature at FlightBase, FlightBase is able to launch the drone to a location, and the live feed complements the CCTV camera feed, which is already ingested into Avigilon. So this is sort of an automation flow that you're able to achieve with the help of FlightBase. And here you're integrating Avigilon, an existing system that most customers in the security domain would have, with FlightBase. Now you're able to generate or build a better case for realizing the return on investment on the initial investment that you have, and not just return on investment, but even the efficiency of your operations. The outcomes that you're able to generate with these integrations are far superior. You are able to reduce dependency on manual patrols or uh, physical teams to actually go and address the issue. You can dispatch a drone instead. The second that we've integrated with is an IoT communication device platform by Edesco. It's called Edesco GPRS. Edesco channels in all the different IoT sensors on a particular inspection line, or say a um, I would say industry. It could be any IoT centric application. And for example, let's take an example of flow sensors, or rather fire sensors. So heat sensors. Heat sensors is something that we did with Resco. If the temperature raises beyond a particular limit, you would want to do a thermal inspection of the asset. So the trigger gets activated, FlightBase logs the alarm, FlightBase dispatches the drone. You can visualize the thermal feed directly into FlightBase. So FlightBase acts as the drone, it acts as the first responder to the incident. Similarly, we did an integration with Dhawa, and these are just to name a few. With Flings, you have all the different uh, APIs to make integrations with different solutions. So you can really think of a lot of different use cases. These are some that we have already done with Dhawa, which is a computer aided dispatch system. The one that we integrated with was a video surveillance system. Quite similar workflow. You integrate the alarms, they get triggered, the alarm is visible on the FlightBase dashboard, and the drone dispatches. And Central Square is a computer-aided dispatch system. So now we enter the space of public safety. So even Hexagon On Call, if some of you are familiar with that, you can integrate the drone and then dispatch. And Jesse will be, doing a quick demo of FlightBase and the different features that we have. But then I can, at the end, maybe if you have any questions around how this works, we can set up a follow-up meeting, or I can even help answer them uh, in the Q&A section. So feel free to drop your messages in the Q&A box. Uh, with some of these integrations that I mentioned, we solve for the second challenge, which is uh, integrating into FlightBase. So integrating the dock with an external system. The third challenge, as I mentioned, is primarily around mission planning. So with 2D, you're able to visualize on a flat surface. Not that great. You can't visualize the altitude. With 3D, if you have the right terrain data, things get better. But then, how updated are your map layers? How accurate is the DSM model? How good are you with mapping out or annotating on your map? There are certain challenges with 3D. So to solve for that, especially in the context of inspection and mapping, not mapping, sorry, inspection and security patrols, we introduced 5D mission planning for the Dock 3. Here, you can, instead of just planning the mission barebone from the UI console, you can actually fly the drone remotely using FlightBase, and you can record each waypoint as you fly. So, how you would do it on the DJI Pilot app. Instead of actually manually planning your mission, you can fly the drone and plan the mission. That gives you control over 5 parameters: the drone heading, so XYZ axis, the gimbal control, and the altitude adjustment. So 5 parameters upon which you can plan a particular mission. And quite a lot of large in inspection based enterprises are using this feature, and they've received quite a lot of positive feedback. I can share a couple of case studies just to name, maybe off the top of my head. Unfortunately, it's not public, so I can't mention. But then uh, we are receiving quite a lot of positive feedback around this. It will help solve for mission planning difficulties that partners are facing. The fourth challenge is, this is the main one, right? This is what we've been hearing for the last 2 years. Do you have AI detection? Can we do AI detection? Can we remove the dependency on the human? If you're doing security patrols, you're doing scheduled patrols, uh, can the drone detect humans? Can the drone detect vehicles? Can it track objects? Can it, you know, if my pilot is out smoking and having a cigarette and having his cup of coffee, what if an intrusion occurs right at that time? Can the flight-based platform raise an alert? So these questions we didn't have answers to, so the workflow was incomplete. There was a lot of human intervention, and the responses were delayed. Big impact. That's where we've introduced AI detection via flight-based AIR. With flight-based AIR, which is an edge device that we integrate with the dock, you're able to, from the dashboard in real time, toggle vehicle and human detection. Upon detection, there is an alert, a sound alert that comes up, which notifies the pilot of a presence of vehicle or humans in the dashboard, on the dashboard. And that brings the attention of the pilot onto the dashboard. And we are also logging the detection into FlightBase's gallery by recording the video and saving it. So this acts also as an evidentiary, as evidentiary data for future reference in case the pilot was not in the loop, for example. So this is actually an old video. The detections have become, we've introduced more detections. We've introduced custom classes of detection. So you could do fire detection, you could do nighttime based thermal detections, and we are increasing the classes of detections and real-time data, real-time classification that we can do uh, every other week. And happy to connect or answer your questions if you have any. This has really helped security ops. This has really helped, remote operations for security system integrators, security solution providers, for example. And as a result, a lot of new models have come up around the dock. And I'm going to talk about, so now that we have solved these four challenges, most customers have now deployed 4 to 5 docks on their site, right? Now, who operates those docks? Do I need to have a mature drone pilot program uh, in my organization to have a robust, scalable dock program? Not really. That's where the drone as a service model has sprung up, where a lot of folks, they are, I don't have the best slides for it, but I can share a couple of photos eventually, where a lot of folks, such as Jesse, they're setting up, getting nationwide BBLOS waivers, and they are providing, with the help of FlightBase, they're providing uh, dock drones as a service. So you're able to either procure a dock directly, or you can lease a dock, and then the piloting services along with the BBLOS waivers and all the regulatory piece of it is handled by the DAS operators. So that really has helped eliminate travel time, reduce expenses. It's helped streamline regulatory compliance, and overall the cost efficiency and scalability has gone up. And we have quite a few folks that we work with that provide this service, and FlightBase has been sort of the central piece to this entire puzzle. For Dock 3, what all features have we introduced? And I have 5 minutes for my piece, so I'll just maybe quickly cover a few of them. So, first is thermal alert based workflows. So, you can set thresholds of specific temperatures beyond which, if the payload detects a higher temperature range, an alert goes off. We also are able to log that into a report and also send you automated emails. So if you're doing inspection workflows, or if you're doing time, night-based routine security operations, this feature is really exciting. You can now visualize while doing a go-to location or while flying a mission. You can visualize the in-flight uh, the terrain for and the in-flight altitude on the FlightBase dashboard while giving a dispatch. It's a really important flight safety feature. So you see a terrain profile graph here. You can see the terrain profile relative to the dock altitude and the RTDS altitude, so the RTH altitude and the go to safe altitude. So when you're doing a when you're doing a go to location command, you can see that, right, the ground level is not obstructing my flight path, so this is a safe operation. The RTDS is not being obstructed by the terrain, neither is the GTSA, so I'm good to go. But if in case if the terrain is like so, it you know that the drone is bound to crash. So this is a flight safety feature that we have brought in. We have thrustmaster joystick integration, which we always had, but we have improved it with granular control. So we've improved the tracking features, and we've added a few more buttons that help you with higher zoom level controls. Really awesome when it comes to public safety and security. I mean, a lot of positive feedback from large public safety organizations in the UK. Really exciting, very helpful, as our customers said. DRC, so we've reduced our latency to sub 150 milliseconds. That's been a great improvement. The way done that now in the last 2 months is so for context to folks who are new to this, having lower latency for dock operations is a must. Ideally, one needs to aim for sub 100 milliseconds. but given the complexity and depending on where you are and what kind of internet you have, 150 milliseconds is a great number. We've been able to consistently hit that with all of our customers because we have done a multi-region deployment of FlytBase. It's quite technical, but we've done regional server optimization, and essentially we are deploying FlytBase closer to your home location for manual control, which improves the user experience of FlytBase. Uh, the fourth feature is the AVSS parachute integration. So you can you can install a parachute on your drone, dispatch the drone manually, or it can also happen in an automatic manner. Important for flight safety again. Right. So how do you now taking the last 2-3 minutes of my presentation for the how? I spoke about what are the challenges and what are the solutions to it. How do you get started with FlightBase? So we've released FlightBase Pro, which is a scalable solution. So you can start small. It is an independent, so it's a pay-as-you-go model. It starts at a really affordable price, uh, and you pay as you go. So you don't have to pay per dock. You pay. It's independent of the number of docks. So you can start small. You can scale at your pace, and you're not necessarily being uh, charged for buying more docks, but rather on how much you fly. And then as you expand, you can then move on to enterprise or other SKUs of FlightBase, which we'd be more than happy to talk about. Overall, we've done quite a lot of deployments with Dock 1, Dock 2, and now Dock 3. CSX is a heavy user in the US, Shell in Europe. These are public case studies. Dole is has actively deployed up to 8 docks in Philippines. Overwatch recently, one of our drone solution providers, they did they have almost 20 docks on FlightBase, and they've deployed it across. So they used it for disaster recovery after in the aftermath of Hurricane Helen. Discovery Land, Titan Security. These are some of the security deployments that we've done, and these are all, as I'd say, these are all referenceable case studies. So you can go onto our website and you can check them out for yourself and learn more about FlightBase. So that was my time, and thank you for listening patiently. I will now stop sharing. I will pass on. Uh, oops. Have I stopped sharing by any chance? Jesse, can you confirm?
Thanks, Kushal. Yeah, I can confirm you stopped sharing.
Awesome. So thank you so much for listening patiently. Over to Jesse. Jesse's our champion of doing the actual deployments using FlightBase and also with the dock. So Jesse, over to you. We'd love to learn more about how you're doing these deployments and how your experience with the dock has been from an operational standpoint. So yeah, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kushal. So Kushal just finished telling all of you about the many different powerful features within FlightBase. And what I would tell you is that those features reflect a number of different things. One, they reflect the technology and the many different functions, capabilities, and applications that these docks can be used for, right? So as that customer demand, that user demand has gone to FlightBase, they have responded with a wide array of features. Two, they also reflect the regulatory environment. The software increasingly has to meet the requirements of the regulators when we start getting into beyond visual line of sight operations. And beyond that, the software also reflects the needs of integration, right? And as these workflows, both real world workflows as well as digital workflows, continue to evolve and develop, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, when you go from single operations to dozens and even hundreds of installations, what happens is the need for integration and the payoffs for that integration really start increasing. So again, very excited to see all of the latest developments from FlytBase, and looking forward to working with the Dock 3 as soon as we get our hands on our first one. So with that said, there are, as you can see, the FlytBase software is reflective of the complexity of the environments in which we operate. And we're not just talking about the drone, the operation of what is a complex and impressively reliable solution, but one with a lot of moving parts, right? HVAC systems, redundant connectivity, third-party communications, sometimes on site, like Starlink or bonded cellular modems. And we've used both. All of this is reflected in the relative complexity and all of the different options available in FlytBase. Now, how do you get through all of that, all of the different options that are available to you, to your organization, and figure out how to deploy it, not just effectively, but efficiently as well, right? How do you make sure that this technology is not just beneficial, does not just result in good outcomes, but also is easily adopted by your organization? And some organizations, they have built out resources for that. They've got aviation teams, they have dedicated IT departments, they have people who understand in-person flight operations already. Other organizations are relatively new and or decide that when it comes to unlocking the full benefits of drone docks, that it's not necessarily in their wheelhouse and they want to work with a partner instead. And to be honest, I think both approaches have their merits. From our standpoint at Ready Monitor, we're here to make it as easy as possible to get up and running with drone docks. First, I'm going to go through just a few slides describing how our service works and how it reflects the regulations in particular here in the US. And then we're going to go through a brief demo showcasing some of the flight operations and data collection that we do using the DJI Dock system, FlytBase, and we do in partnership with Aerial Fences, which is a data analytics company that is building out a number of innovative and very different analytics and algorithms for the data that these drone docks are capable of collecting. So as I alluded to, this can be a complex process, and none of this is insurmountable, but there are a lot of moving parts, right? So, think of, I'm actually, my family and I are just finishing up right now a renovation of a new home. We're excited to move in, but there have been a lot of moving parts, and it touches everything from local regulations to installation, troubleshooting, and finding innovative solutions to problems. And installing and operating a dock is, in many ways, it's very similar in terms of its complexity. So that being said, it doesn't necessarily mean that it should be a difficult process to go through, and there are plenty of resources that are available to help you do that. The regulatory process that we have here in the US still continues to be, I would say, somewhat opaque. The FAA has done a good job within existing regulations, with an existing authorization that it has from Congress, to make it increasingly easier to operate beyond visual line of sight. But in order to do that, you need to have the right kind of setup for evaluating the site, where you're going to do the install, what the airspace looks like. How are you going to train, manage, and oversee your people? And then, of course, fortunately, FlytBase makes this easier, selecting software and hardware integrations, mapping out your current systems, right? How you operate today, what video management system you're using, what's your security software, if that's your application, if you're doing data collection and processing, what photogrammetry tool or 3D visualization tools are you using? Who are the stakeholders that you want to get that data to? And while some of these items might be familiar to you as an end user of drone data, when that drone data is captured by manual flight, it gives you more time to and more ability to put manual processes in place. Drone docks are just a different animal, right? They are capable of syncing that data anywhere you need, right? No need for connecting to Wi-Fi, dealing with SD cards, sometimes SD cards that get lost, unfortunately. All of this can be automated, but again, it needs to be automated in the right way. And we need to figure out, what you want to do is figure out where are the end users, where are the data analysts, the people who are going to process, who are going to analyze, who are going to ingest and ultimately make decisions on that data, and how do you get it to them in a way that is seamless and ideally familiar to them, right? So they're not looking at stovepipe systems. And finally, managing your program over time and putting in place things like insurance policy, aviation insurance policies, making sure you're covered, making sure that you continue to operate both safely and legally. Ready Monitor delivers an easy button for all of that. So what Ready Monitor brings to the table is both operational expertise from a team that has decades of drone operational experience in the field, as well as a set of nationwide waivers that allow us to operate in most classifications of airspace and allow us to do so in very short order. So our waivers are non-location specific. They allow us to operate both around critical infrastructure, non-critical infrastructure, as well as other projects like construction or for security applications, say remote warehouses. And we deliver this in primarily two different flavors. One is we will operate the drone on your behalf, but it's a drone that your organization owns. You bought the hardware, you installed it. The other is we will do the complete service for you. And what that means is we will there's no need to even buy the hardware. We'll deliver everything as a turnkey service. And as your organization thinks through the benefits of both of these, the trade-offs, you might come to one answer or the other. You might want to capitalize the hardware expense. Some organizations like power utilities, for example, like to do that. You might be a project-based company that shifts every 12 months, and being able to have a turnkey service with a dock on site that then gets picked up, right, overhauled, and you're able to already schedule the next one at another work site is easier. And that way you can bill the service cost through to that particular project, and you don't have to maintain the equipment. So again, we don't advocate for one or the other. My personal experience is that it's a mix. Even within the same industry, some customers prefer one, some customers prefer the other. They both have their benefits. Included in Ready Monitor's service plans include both the hardware and the software. Although the hardware is optional, you can bring your own. The operational oversight, as well as actual performance of missions, and you can create those missions yourself if you want, and we'll execute them on your behalf. Monitoring from our remote operations center based in Florida. We can also train you to operate on your own if that's your preference. If you have people that you believe should be Part 107 pilots and you would like to get them trained up and help overseeing them operating safely and legally, we do that as well. We'll get to questions at the end of this webinar, as was mentioned. Now I'm going to hop over to FlytBase, and we're going to perform a quick demo. So right here, we're operating today in a ranch in Texas. This is where our partner Aerial Fences has been collecting data for a wide variety of use cases that they'll get to as soon as we're done with the mission. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm checking over here. I've got all the information I need on the aircraft. On the left, I can see that the weather is converting from Celsius. That's about 70, I want to say 75 degrees today. We've got no rainfall, and the wind speeds are just around, and this is wind speeds at the dock. I'll mention why that's important. Just around 2 meters per second, which translates roughly into about 6.5 miles per hour. And again, the aircraft itself can handle much heavier winds. The real challenge is on that precision landing system. So generally, as long as the drone can land effectively, we're not really worried about the wind conditions as it's in flight. Not always. I mean, sometimes you can have serious gusting conditions at, say, 200 feet. But for the most part, what you're worried about is it's not launch, it's not the mission itself. It's really making sure, especially if nobody's on site, that you can land in that wind. Finally, we go through our connectivity. Today we're using a Starlink system because this is a rural and remote area in Texas. So we can check our speed right there. Finally, I'm going to move over here, and I am going to enable the security camera just to take a quick peek around the dock and see what's going on. Looks like we've got a good video feed. So we're going to go ahead and perform a mission that was created by Aerial Fences. And that kind of collaboration is one of the reasons why I think FlytBase is an effective software. Helpful elevation map as well, just for edification of any participants we have here. We've got the return to docking station elevation. All of this stuff is of course pre-planned and set up. You can put in place situational, scenario driven elevation and return to home or return to docking station mission plant parameters to help increase safety. We're going to go through the checklist over here. We've got a decent GPS count that'll increase as soon as we open the dock. The status looks good. The temperature, we already checked the rain. We're good to launch, so we're going to perform a mission. And Mike Volk, my friend from Aerial Fences, if there's anything you'd like to point out while we're launching on the data collection that we're doing, please go ahead. And then after we land, we'll kick it over to you guys.
Sure. I'd only add that the drone basically is going to carry, obviously, the camera, and then also a transceiver that is going to be able to pick up on BLE beacons or tags on cattle or any other type of moving vehicle. So we're basically going to be out there doing two things at once, piloted remotely by our friends over there at Ready Monitor.
So Mike, you think we're going to be replacing sheepdogs with drones anytime soon?
That's an interesting question. Actually, there is a dog that is being deployed on that site that you're actually flying right now. And that dog is there for predators, which we help identify through our artificial intelligence. We do have, in fact, a cougar that is stalking that very area. We've seen it on trail cams. And so our goal is to identify those species, and then maybe at that point you basically go out and buy the dog, because the dog is pretty super technological
Well, you know,
specimen.
they still haven't figured out a way to replicate the performance of a good of a dog's nose and the its ability to pick up the scent of various predators. So I like that.
Exactly.
We're pro dog at Ready Monitor. My hope is that the technology, you know, wow. Well, did we just see a was that a hawk that just flew out by the feed? You guys have a ton of
Tons of hawks in the area.
This is one of the things I love about drone docks, and with visual line of sight, a lot of these locations, it would simply be cost prohibitive to do regular service, right? You're talking about, you know, driving an hour plus, hoping that the weather is going to line up for you when you've allotted that time. And if it doesn't, you know, and speaking from experience, having run nationwide drone services starting 10 years ago, weather delays were brutal on our margins, and often actually the companies that you would perform service for would not necessarily reimburse you for those weather delays, so you had to try to factor it in as best you could. With drone docks, I believe that a lot of industries are now starting to open up in terms of the economics and being able to have a relatively affordable system on site that can be operated by expert pilots remotely. It's really changes the economics in industries like security, ranching, land management, remote warehouses, remote infrastructure like upstream oil exploration and upstream oil sites, oil and gas sites. It's really going to be a game changer in terms of the economics, and I think this is absolutely going to be the next big phase of growth for the drone industry. All right, so the drone has been collecting both visual thermal data as well as a custom rigged RFID reader that Drone Nerds helped Aerial Fences install. Just one of the many innovations that they've been working on in order to create a complete solution offering for land and management, in particular ranchers. We're coming back in for a landing again. We don't have heavy winds, so I don't think we should have any issues today. Beautiful day in South Texas, South Central, I should say. You can even see a hunting blind over there on the right. All right, and we have a landing. So thanks all for tuning in for this demo. Now I'm going to kick it over to our friends at Aerial Fences.
All right, great. I'm going to keep this very short because I know there's a lot of questions. But what I'd like to do is just make a couple of presentations here. Can you see the screen?
Not yet, Mike.
How about now?
Yep.
Yes.
So what I'm displaying right here is the new Aerial Fences dashboard. So this is the application that our customers are using in order to schedule missions through FlytBase. So a customer can go ahead and add a new mission, pick from a list of pre-configured missions, and then schedule them, change the takeoff time, and then have the folks at Ready Monitor update and say that, yes, we have the mission, and it is staffed with a pilot, and it will be flown. So there's the scheduling. Then the mission logs are what happened with the mission itself. And then the site map will display items like where your cattle are on the site itself. The dashboard gives an overarching view of what's going on with your site. And essentially the artificial intelligence species recognition kicks in here. And these identifications will be correlated with the actual video stream. And so you can go in and do research on where we found, hogs or mountain lions or what have you. So there's the aerial fences dashboard, which is under constant improvement by our development team. And I'd also like to be able to show our approach to flying the drone in general, and then also the notion of centroiding. So you can see there are two processes here. One is RF, using radio frequencies, where on the drone itself, you can see the little black unit on the top there. It is scanning for BLE tags that are on cattle ears. And basically that data gets sent via a cell network. At the end of its scan period, the data is aggregated and centroided and then sent to that aerial fences app you just saw. The camera on the drone simultaneously, while the drone is in flight, is capturing video images and taking those files, transmitting those to aerial fences servers, and then the algorithms kick in and we're rendering findings on species onto the aerial fences app along with the video files themselves. Just a little bit more on centroiding on the RF process here. The idea basically is to fly the drone on a raster scan, and then at the end of each scan period, which is represented by a drone, the actual lat long of that drone location is sent through the cell network, and the list of tags that were seen is also sent with it. So you can imagine that there are these sensors on the drone, and the drone is seeing a tag and seeing a tag again, and the fence post is seeing a tag and another fence post is seeing a tag. We average those and we come up with basically an approximate location of the tagged animal. The more sightings, the more accuracy.